Okay, so today's lesson 127 of the Workbook of the Course in Miracles, and in fact, it's an incredible lesson, and perhaps due to the uncompromising nature of it, maybe one of the hardest things for everyone to see within the world of space and time, where we really have um, divided love up into there being different kinds of love, and then utilized each other to demand that the divisions that we make are appropriate within the world that we're seemingly here to go beyond. That's what this is saying. You can't love one person one way and another person another way and call that love if love is one. There is one love, and that is the love of God. You cannot not be separate from the love of God, as it is the substance and sum total of everything that holds us together in the oneness of reality, and therefore within the oneness of the nature of our relationship to each other. So it's an interesting lesson, and while it's beautifully written, it strikes at the heart of the specialness that we've made love into. Now, we all can deal with special hate. Special hate is not difficult to deal with. Nobody really wants to hate anybody. But when it comes to love, we want to maintain our special functions within the special world of love that we've made. Otherwise, all kinds of hell breaks loose. Just look at your relationships and the nature of the lives that you lead with each other, and how you can love one person this way, but if you love this other person another way, then you can't love that person that way. That's not love. That's an attempt to fragment and fracture love to suit the necessity of the ego to maintain specialness and separation, yet call it something that's palatable, that isn't hate. Special love is not different than hate. It's an equal block to the awareness of the totality of the reality of love, without there being any specialization in the reality, because we're all equal extensions of that love. And at the level where we don't try to maintain our love relationships, because we simply are what love is, and we recognize ourselves as love in another, there is no need for the maintenance of any specialness, because as this says, it would be impossible for love to judge, so therefore it would be impossible for real love to have any association with jealousy or appropriateness in expression. I know that's challenging, but you're under no laws but God's, not the world's. Now, to get closer to the point, I'm not going to belabor this lesson as I did yesterday's. When I underwent my experience, and I've never really known what to call it, so I use the words that are given to me in what has been given to me to help me learn and understand and heal my mind. And let's call it revelatory. When God revealed himself to me as love, and I along with him, and I saw, oh, God is love, and therefore so am I. This was prior to me even getting the course. The only thing that I ever wanted to communicate to anyone, because it's the only thing anybody ever needs to know, is that God is love, and they are not separate from that love, and there is no vengeance in that love. There's no judgment in that love. There's no error, no mistake, no contradiction, no conflict. And it cannot not be a total expression of creation. I've never known how to communicate that, and this lesson helps me to understand why it's not possible to communicate it conceptually. Because much as when I picked up the course and I read the introduction, said, I can't tell you what love is, but I could sure help you find the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. I knew that this was really about love, because it was about me, because no one can tell you what love is, because it's not a telling, it's an experience of not being separate from anyone and having nothing outside that separation, nothing to conflict with it and nothing conflictual within it. The idea that you have to be told what you are is the problem, and asking outside of yourself is a symptom of the problem. The solution is always to return to love. Oh, Marianne Williamson. It's a return to love itself, and you have to go back within. Back within. Past what the old man, Jesus used to say to Helen, you haven't gone back far enough. You have to just step back a little more. Step back a little more. Step back a little more. Because there does seem to be degrees, aspects, and intervals, therefore sort of like levels of understanding within the world of space-time. And they're only there because of the fear, the limitations that we place on ourselves, and the utilization of fear in association with limitation to keep ourselves safe and protect us. It's really funny. To protect ourselves against the totality of our reality, which is love. It's funny when you look at it. It's funny when I could laugh, having had the experience, and having had the experience likewise of having to look at the limitations that I put on it and the levels that have caused me the confusion. It's all self-imposed. Nobody is imposing anything on you but yourself, and it's always an imposition based on the limitations of how much fear you want to let go of. And when you go into a revelatory moment and there's nothing there but you and all of your brothers as you, beyond the concept of what I am, beyond the need for a form association to know who I am, in the total abstract nature of the love of God and for his creations as their extension in the oneness of reality, all your concepts become meaningless, and all your teachings are recognized as not having established anything but the desire for you to express who you are and give it some sort of framework, in a sense, or systematic way of understanding, because the unity of love and its oneness and the simplicity of that, in a sense, breeds some sort of clear understanding here that seems to require very precise steps to trace backwards from the position outside of that totality that we occupy when we believe separation was possible and remembered not to laugh at that tiny mad idea. Love cannot judge, as it is one itself. It looks on all as one. Its meaning lies in its oneness, and it must elude the mind that thinks of it as partial or in part. There is no love but God's, and all of love is his. There is no principle which rules where love is not. Okay? Now, love is a law without opposite. Its wholeness is the power holding everything at one, the link between the Father and the Son, which holds them both forever as the same. When it says here, there is no principle which rules where love is not, he's not saying that the laws of the world don't rule you. You give them the power to rule you because you've withdrawn yourself from the rule of love as one. All true principles stem from the oneness of the kingdom, and that kingdom is love. And if they truly rule, not falsely demand allegiance, and not falsely in your identification with them separate you from love, that's not ruling. That's dictatorship. That's tyranny by your own hand. That's like a tyrannical expression of the need to remain separate and not accept yourself and your brother as being whole and perfect within the mind of God, as God created you in his wholeness and perfection, and share that with you as love. No course whose purpose is to teach you what you really are could fail to emphasize there is no difference in what you are and what love is. I am God's love. It's not God loves me. I am God's love. We try to anthropomorphize God by saying, well, God loves me and I love you. No, it's much closer than that. You are God's love. He does not love you. You are God's love. So we say here, I love you. You are love. You are what love is. I can see that you are what love is when I've recognized what love is as myself. And now we're beginning to approach the idea of what Jesus meant when he said he was a man who saw the face of Christ in all things and recognized himself and was no longer bound by any laws except the law of love. It's not possible to not understand this. It's only possible to think you don't because you understand things that are opposite to love. So obviously, back to the introduction, obviously you have to give up the understandings of what is not love. And specialization of love within the world is not what love is. There is no way, shape, or form that love would make a statement such as, till death do us part. There is... I had a friend in Australia, and I spent the last month of her life here in the world. She asked me to come over, and her husband and I had been through a lot together. Let's put it that way. They were the ones who trusted all the guidance we were getting enough with me. I was getting guidance, they were getting guidance, as well as saying guidance to make the sparkly edition available. When she found herself with cancer and she knew, okay, wait a second, I got to check this thing out, she sat down with the husband and they began to talk to each other. And when they realized they had made this vow till death do us part, they knew that it was time to let go of that vow. They didn't let go of each other in terms of the fact that they remained friends and together to the end. However, they both gave themselves, they gave each other the space they needed to allow what had to happen in order for them to both be comfortable with the situation as it was. And it was a beautiful thing. That was the first thing she said to me. We looked at the wedding vow, till death do us part. I said, that has nothing to do with love. Certainly it has to do with slavery to the laws of man, and self-inflicted, I might add. Why would anyone need a ceremony to recognize love? Why would anyone need a ceremony to be bound in love, as love, with their brother? You'd only need a ceremony to make special that which you have no idea about, because if you had any idea about it, you'd see the ridiculous nature of being love, your brother being love, and think that betrayal was possible, or jealousy, for heaven's sake. What are you jealous of? That somebody else is getting love that you deserve? You are God's love. You're here to give love. You're not here to get love. You're here because you forgot that you are love. And the only way to remember you are love is to give love. If there's only one kind of love, then what kind of love would you be asked to extend but what you are? When you know who you are, yourself automatically goes out to your brother, because your brother is already one with you in love, as love. So God loves you. You are God's love. Who would need to be told God loves you more than someone who doesn't realize they are God's love? Yet who could be more dissatisfied with God loving them in a world of space and time and trying to figure out why that's true? Well, why does God love me? Or worse, God loves everybody. He loves the sinners and the saints. just as much. So why be a saint if I could be a sinner? See what it gets to? No, no, no. Well, if God loves me, why don't I just enjoy myself instead of trying to be a good boy or girl or couple or whatever you're trying to be good at? No, free yourself from your own self, from the self-imposed limitations that you put on what you are. You are God's love. There is nothing but God's love. Oh, here we go. No laws the world obeys can help you grasp love's meaning. What the world believes was made, what the world believes, here it is, what the world believes was made to hide love's meaning and to keep it dark and secret. There is not one principle the world upholds, but violates what love is.